We are a nation that is unique in the Western world, where somehow we've adopted this theory that more guns make us safer. But if more guns made us safer, we'd be the safest nation in the world, and we're not.
On Tuesday, an 18-year-old gunman barricaded himself inside a classroom at Robb Elementary School in Uvalde, Texas, before murdering at least 19 children and 2 teachers. So initially, there were reports that 14 children were killed, and then more died at the hospital. More may still die after what happened here, so this number may change, but I'm going to go over a lot in this video. And look, I may seem a little out of it. I'm just out of energy for stories like this. I've covered this kind of thing countless times now. And often we are going over the same information. I'm showing you what the problem is. I'm showing you how the US is different from other countries. And nothing, of course, changes because people in power really don't seem to care. Even those that currently hold power and could maybe do something about it, they don't do anything. So I'm going to go over that as well. Who's to blame here, at least who's partially to blame for what happened here. But just forgive me if I seem a little out of it. I often wonder why I do this. When I hear stories like this, when I know I have to cover something like this, I question, why am I even doing this? And ultimately, I do this to inform people. So I'm here to bring you information to hopefully help to educate you as to why this keeps happening, why the US is an outlier. But that's what I try to bring. So in terms of, before we get to more details on this school shooting, this from NPR, Education Week has been tracking school shootings since 2018. According to its database, 119 such incidents have taken place since then. There were 27 school shootings with injuries or deaths this year. 27 this year alone. So they track school shootings as a firearm was discharged and where any person except the suspect has a bullet wound resulting from the incident. Education Week also includes only incidents that happen on K-12 school property or on a school bus that occur when school is in session. All right, so this is how the U.S. compares. Now, their definition of school shooting is different. This definition here is if a weapon is discharged, but you have here this year alone, in terms of just weapons being discharged on or near a school, the U.S. is at 288. Every other country, of course, nowhere close. So Mexico is the next closest with 8, South Africa 6, India 5, Pakistan 4, Nigeria 4, Afghanistan 3, Brazil 2, France 2, Canada 2, China 1. This should tell you what the problem is. The issue isn't TV and movies. Canada, we have the exact same TV and movies. The issue isn't mental health. I mean, it's partially mental health, but all these countries have mental health issues. The only real difference here is how much easier it is to access a weapon in the US compared to these other countries. That is the real difference. But people keep pretending. People in positions of power keep pretending it's video games, it's movies, it's culture, it's mental health. And by the way, the same people, I'm seeing these dipshits, these Republicans talk about, oh, it's mental health, mental health. Do you support Medicare for all? Do you support guaranteeing free mental health for everybody in the country? Didn't think so. Then why don't you shut the fuck up? U.S. has surpassed 200 mass shootings this year. It's May. 200 mass shootings. So, which counts as an incident in which 4 or more people were shot or killed, excluding the shooter. 200 of them. Again, no country comes close. The Onion, which of course is a satirical website here, one of their headlines that often gets retweeted or shared after something like this is this one. No way to prevent this, says only nation where this regularly happens. Today, on their homepage, they have a screenshot of all these recent mass shootings with the same headline. The exact same story. Look at this. Just to drive home the point of how insane this is. All right. Now, the Texas shooter legally bought 2 rifles on his birthday. That's how he was able to do this. 18 years old, legally bought 2 rifles on his birthday. And so they were 2 AR platform rifles. Again, the vast majority of these mass shootings, the ones that, make the headlines with these insane death counts, usually they are an AR rifle. But so I bought them on May 17th and May 20th. The suspect purchased 375 rounds of ammunition. I don't know. Should someone be allowed to do this? Just walk into a place, buy 375 rounds, an 18-year-old, for their newly purchased AR rifles. So let me get to Biden here, get to the issue with this, and then I'll get to Texas and their lawmakers and what's going on there.
Why are we willing to live with this carnage? Why do we keep letting this happen? Where in God's name is our backbone to have the courage to deal with it and stand up to the lobbies? It's time to turn this pain into action for every parent, for every citizen in this country. We have to make it clear to every elected official in this country, it's time to act.
This is a great line for anybody who is not a lawmaker. He's the president. He's calling for a backbone. He doesn't even have a backbone to stand up to his own party, to Joe Manchin. Because to pass anything, they would need 60 votes in the chamber to overcome the filibuster. You need Manchin to eliminate the filibuster. He will not do that. Came out today saying Manchin calls for common sense gun limits, resists filibuster reform. Biden calling for a backbone when he doesn't even have the backbone to fight Joe Manchin. Now let's get to Governor Abbott. Texas Governor Abbott here. Some comments he made in the wake of this news, and then a piece showing you what he has done in his state.
It's believed that he abandoned his vehicle and entered into the Robb Elementary School in Uvalde with a handgun, and he may have also had a rifle, but that is not yet confirmed according to my most recent report.
This is Texas Governor Greg Abbott in June of last year signing 7 laws that made it easier to own a gun in Texas. That was all part of a slew of legislation that he signed loosening gun restrictions in the state, and one of the laws makes it legal to carry handguns in public without a license for anyone over 21. Now, prior to that, Texans needed to take a 4 to 6 hour training course. They had to pass a written exam. They had to pass a shooting proficiency exam, or at least demonstrate that they have shooting proficiency. Abbott's signature eliminated all of that. Another one of those laws declared Texas a sanctuary state for guns, which basically forbids local agencies from enforcing federal gun laws. The Giffords Law Center to Prevent Gun Violence gives Texas gun laws an F, literally an F. They point out that it is so easy to get guns in Texas that gangs actually smuggle them across the border into Mexico. They buy them in Texas, smuggle them into Mexico.
It is so easy to acquire guns in Texas that they are smuggled from Texas into Mexico. This gives you the mindset of Governor Greg Abbott. Here he's in 2015 saying, I'm embarrassed. Texas #2 in nation for new gun purchases, behind California. Let's pick up the pace, Texans. And then tags the NRA. More on the NRA in a minute here. So This, in the wake of the El Paso shooting, there was a delegation here that put forward nearly 20 bills focused on gun safety and mass violence prevention, including one proposal that would ban open carry of assault weapons and long guns, and another that would require background checks for private firearm sales. Very few of those bills gained any traction. By far the most substantial gun bill to cross Governor Abbott's desk loosens firearm restrictions. House Bill 1927 allows Texans to carry handguns without a license and the training and background check that license requires. So in the wake of a mass shooting in Texas, the governor didn't come out and, try to address the issue. Instead, he made it easier to acquire weapons. And just so happens that Abbott is scheduled to address the National Rifle Association's annual meeting in Houston later this week, along with Donald Trump. It'll be interesting to see if he shows up. Now, in terms of the NRA, of course, this is also part of the issue. Senators bankrolled by the NRA: Mitt Romney, Richard Burr, Roy Blunt, Tom Tillis, Marco Rubio, Joni Ernst, Josh Hawley, Mitch McConnell, Ted Cruz. I'm sure there are more, but I guess these are the top. Yeah. Now, I can only show you. Victims are still being identified. In some cases, they have to actually take they did this last night. They took DNA tests of relatives in order to properly identify some of the children, because they could not be identified after what happened to them. Here's one of the first victims that were identified: Xavier Lopez, 10. He was a fourth grader at Robb Elementary. His family confirms he died in the school shooting. They were all this age. Maggie Astor here, tweeting after Sandy Hook: I read about how the group of parents waiting in a firehouse had dwindled until finally they were told that if they were still there, their children were dead. The reporters wrote that the screaming could be heard from the street. I will never forget that. And same thing this time. Lee Waldman here, saying, we just heard screams inside the Civic Center, yet another family hearing the worst news possible. And I want to show you this clip. So this is Jamie Guttenberg. He lost a child in the Parkland shooting, and here he is reacting to this news.
I'm done. They fucking failed our kids again. Okay, I'm done. I've had it. How many more times? Are we? And we're going to sit back. I'm going to listen to that governor of Texas talk about why he pushed to fight for laws in Texas that made it easier for the guns to be had by those who want to kill. How many more times? I'm sorry. I'm speechless. I don't know what to say.
I can't even imagine what it would be like to lose a child in a school shooting, the one place they should feel safe. I'm going to leave you on this. I did this video back in about a year ago. Canada may hold the answer to America's gun problem. So in there, I go over what Canada's laws are. Now, we're not perfect. I don't want to pretend we're perfect. We have our issues, of course. But let's compare the list, shall we? I mean, it's not even close. So I'm going to link this below the video, and maybe at the end in a frame, you can click on it. And just to give you a little more information in terms of just common sense gun laws, background checks, a waiting period, training, just basic stuff to own a weapon. Because look, I'm realistic about this. I don't think it's possible to remove every single gun in America. How are you going to do that? People are going to, stash their weapons. They're not going to just give up their guns. Even in a buyback program, many will keep them, hide them, you're not going to get rid of all the guns. That's just not possible, in my opinion. But at the very least, going forward, you can make some changes that requires people to actually know what they are doing if they have a weapon, ensure that you are not selling weapons to somebody who is about to commit a mass shooting. Just very basic stuff. So I'll link to that below this video.